Hello, hope you're all doing well. We are gonna need a chair today, a belt, a blanket, and 2 blocks, or whatever you have that's the equivalent of those things. All right, so we're first gonna start out with the belt, and you're gonna make a loop. And make the loop about shoulder width apart. So you're going to put your wrists in. If your shoulders are a little bit on the tight side, you can go a little wider. Okay, so I have my wrists in the belt. I want it to be as even as you can get it, and I'm pushing out. And you see how I have the tail over to the side. Right, so I have my feet apart, I'm standing in Tadasana, pressing down into my heels, and I bring my arms up. And I'm just pushing out into the belt as I bring the arms up. And as I'm pushing out into the belt, what I'm doing is I'm pushing more with the thumb side of my hands, which when you do that, you should feel the arms, hopefully you can see my hands, instead of being like this, right, with the palms forward, you're rolling the arms so that the palms face each other. And what that does is it gets more of an external rotation up in the upper arm bones. And keep pressing back a little bit. And as you press back, go back into your heels. And then release. And now you'll put the belt on behind you. Again at the wrists. And I'm reaching down and back. And I'm pushing back. It's really tempting here to, I might have just been doing it accidentally, to jut the head forward. So shift your weight into your heels. Keep pushing out into the belt. Again, still rolling the thumbs outward a little bit. Okay, and you'll feel what that does into the shoulder blades. So again, I'm in Tadasana, and you can do a little bit of pumping here. Using your breath. And now we're coming to Uttanasana like this. I keep the shoulders lifted up away from the floor, and I'm going slowly, 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 bending at the hips, or folding from the hips. And as you get a little further, then you start to lift your fingers up. Lift the arms up and over. So the shoulders are not crunching down. Go up and over any amount. And then keep pressing, pressing, pressing. Lift your head and your chest. Inhale, come up. Okay, again. Go to the wrists in front of you. Stand in Tadasana. Inhale the arms up. And exhale, go back. Go with a little bit of caution, a little bit of optimism, right? What we need to be working with right now. Be cautiously optimistic about the flexibility of your shoulders. Right? There's something that we can actually have a little bit of control of, right? What we do with our shoulders in an ever-changing world. And then go back, and then come down one more time. Go behind you. And I roll the shoulders back. Press into your feet. Lift up through your kneecaps. All the stuff that you should be doing with your legs in Tadasana, make sure you're doing that. And I bring the arms back. Similar to Shalabhasana, right? How the arms go back. And I come forward, reaching the arms back as I come forward. Go nice and easy and slow. And then I lift. Once I get to a certain place, I'm able to lift the arms up. And you'll feel the shoulder blades engaging onto your back. You may feel a little adjustment here and there in the vertebrae between the shoulder blades. That often feels good. You press into your feet, lift up, reach forward with your head and back with your arms, and then release. Okay, you're going to open this up a little bit. And we'll do Gomukhasana. So from behind, I'll show you. You bring the arm across and drop your belt down. Bring this arm back and go up. Working the hands toward each other as much as you can within reason. And if you're really close, you drop your belt and you hold. And breathe. And then releasing your arms. We'll go back, take the belt the other way, and we'll see what happens on this side. Okay, I'm in Tadasana. I bring the belt across, drop it down. This elbow, my left elbow, is as close to my head as I can get it. And then I work upward, swimming the bottom arm up. Up, there's my fingers. I can drop the belt and breathe. And then I slowly release. Rolling the arms outward. Okay, and then just swing your arms a little bit to relax them. And come to a neutral place. And you are going to now take your block, take one of your blocks, and going to have the block between the hands like this. Notice that I'm not gripping with my fingers, I'm pressing more with this part of my hand right here. Okay, and the fingers are spread, you're standing in Tadasana. Press against the block, press, press, press. Press against the block so that you can feel your muscles engage even on your forearms, right over here, right? You feel those muscles engage. So you're pressing, shift your weight into your heels, and inhale and come up. Don't drop your block. You may not make it all the way up. Don't worry about the shoulders coming up a little bit by the ears, that's okay. And go down. And now what you're going to do is to bend your elbows and squeeze. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Don't let, those of you that are super flexible, I'm resisting a little bit with my elbows. So I could go like this. That's really not a good idea. All right. So you want the elbows to be just about in line with the edge of the block. And you can see from the side, hopefully, that I have just about a 90-degree angle between my forearms and my upper arms. And you keep pressing. And this may not feel like much of anything for the first couple of seconds that you do it, but this little isometric move, the sensation grows a little bit the longer you stay here. So breathe. And then release. Okay. Garudasana. So what you're going to do, I'm not going to tell you which arm to put over which other arm because those instructions get a little confusing sometimes. even when you're right in front of me. Confusing for me, not for you. So just pick an arm, okay? Keep track of your own arms. And you are coming to Garudasana. This would be the first stage here. This eagle pose is where I go and I cross. Now, people that are a little more bulky, a little more muscly up top, broader chest up top, more muscle over here, you have a hard time with this. It's just the way things are built sometimes, right? So you cross. If you can, you hug. All right, and what I'm attempting to do is to spread my shoulder blades now away from each other. And then release. Okay, you can go out a little bit to counter that move. And other way, right? So you cross the elbows as much as you can. Hug. With your hands, if you can reach, you pull the shoulder blades away from each other. Now, there is a too much that can happen there. If you go too much, you get a pain. I know this from personal experience. You get a pain in here. If you spread the shoulder blades too much and you're like sinking back too much, this gets too congested there, okay? So go within reason. So do again, hug. And now we'll come more to the full pose. Right, if possible. You get those arms as crossed as you possibly can. And then you're attempting to bring your forearms together, the back of the forearms together. And 3. And then what you're attempting to do is to slip this hand here on the other side of that hand. Okay, so fingers, if you can get that far, fingers will be in the palm. And I reach up with the fingers. Again, I'm spreading the shoulder blades in the back, but also keeping the collarbones moving a little bit away from each other. And then release. And bring the arms back and into a little bit of an external rotation just to balance out. Go the other way, use your breath. You can hug. Get a good cross. And then back of the arms, the forearms, back of the forearms together. And then this hand that's lower than the other one, that one slips back by your face a little bit and touches the palm of the arm that's up higher. The hand that's up higher. And breathe. And then release. Externally rotate the arms. Okay. Trikonasana using a wall. Something we've done probably many times. All right, so you're going to go to your right first. And I have my buttocks on the wall. Only this one, the front leg one, right? That one's on the wall. This one is rolling forward a little bit. And I give myself a little bit of space. So if I put both feet at the wall would be pushing me forward. Okay? If you don't have a wall, what can I tell you? Move some furniture. Or just, do it in the middle of the room if you have to. Okay, so I lift my chest. And I'm coming easy to the side. And I turn upward. I feel confident lifting my head and looking up here because I know I'm not going to fall backwards. And then you can come up, transfer your block, move your feet. Okay, so now only your left buttock is going to be on the wall. And I lift up, I have a nice wide stance. And I keep my back on the wall, the back of the head at the wall as much as I can. And I'm externally rotating this leg. Of course, we don't want this kneecap to be rolling in. And you get that action from externally rotating the hip. It's not really what the knee is doing, it's more what you're doing up in the hip joint. And then if you can, you look up, maintain your breath, and then inhale and come up. Okay, another way to use your wall is to face it. Okay, so obviously I have to turn my back to you for this one. So again, don't be too close. You want to have a little bit of room here for the arms to do their thing to help you. So I turn my right leg out and I walk down the wall. Let's put my block too far away. I walk down the wall and then I'm using this top hand to give myself a little bit of a push so that I can turn. A little bit of a push, so I turn the waist and chest up toward the ceiling. I am actively moving this buttock forward toward the wall. I know it may not look like that, but that's what I'm trying to do. I am trying to move this sitting bone toward the wall, to tuck that right sitting bone underneath. And then you inhale and come up. You just place your block, turn your feet. Again, you can have a nice wide stance because you're using the wall. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, I start walking. Again, I'm flexing at the hips. Right? It's a side flexion, but I'm laterally flexing at my left hip in order to get where I am. And then I use the top hand here and I turn the waist and chest up as I'm tucking this buttock underneath, as I'm externally rotating my left leg. Turn, turn, turn. And then you can inhale, come up. So what do I mean by flexing at the hip? Some of you already know this, many of you. But some of you are newer, so trying to reach everybody. What happens when we're a beginner, a lot of time, not just a beginner, but somebody that may have tight hamstrings, a tight lower back, is we get this sort of thing here, where the hips don't want to move, right? We've done this in class before, where you want to get the hips to move in this direction, this hip going out to the side. Sometimes that doesn't exactly happen for people. Their hips are a little bit stuck, so they get something that looks like this, where this is very round in here, as opposed to that. Okay, so it may not happen just because you're asking it to happen in your body, but know that that's what you're going for. And if you need a little bit more movement there, you do what I just showed. You don't need a wall. You do what I just showed. You take your legs wide and you work on moving your hips in this direction. Okay, you can practice dancing. You can just dance around your house. You can put on some salsa music and start moving your hips. Yeah, and I'd like to see videos of that, please. So I've been sending you guys videos. You can send some back to me. All right, Utthita Parshvakonasana, using a wall. Whoops, I'm mirroring you. Okay, Utthita Parshvakonasana, even a little bit wider than triangle pose. Okay, so I start out looking like I'm going to go into triangle pose. And then what I do is I bend and I come to the side. The block is a little too high for me, so adjusting, because I'd like to get this leg into a 90-degree angle. And then again, you can use the wall to know where you are. Okay, if you find yourself over here and this whole side of your body is away from the wall, you know you have to work toward it. Okay, doesn't mean that my entire back touches the wall, but I'm moving the rib cage in that direction. And then come up, and you'll change sides. And just a good indicator of where to be is you want a block to be able to fit in here. Okay? If you're too close to the wall, you can't get a block in there, you're going to get pushed forward a bit. So keep weight in your back foot, bend over to the side, Utthita Parshva Konasana. And see if you can get this top shoulder on the wall, or the shoulder blade. Okay, and take a peek down, see where you are. And again, you want to press, I didn't mention this, press this knee, this bent leg knee, into that forearm. And then come up. And you bring your legs together, or close together. Okay. 2 ways of doing Parivrtta Trikonasana. So the first way, one of the ways, is, I have to think about this for a second. Hold on. Okay, here it is. Every single time I teach this, I do this. And I have to turn around, sometimes multiple times. All right. This is the slightly easier way, okay? I am turning toward the wall. My right leg is forward, my left leg is back, my hips are coming with me for the ride of this Parivrtta, or this revolved motion. Right hand is on the wall, left arm goes up, and I exhale, and I come. You can use your block or not. I push down either onto the floor or the block, and I push into the wall. Now what I'm trying to do is to get the crown of my head in line with my tailbone. So there's no curving in this pose. Don't make like a C out of your body. So keep your face actually away from the wall as you turn. And then you come on up. Okay, so you use the wall for leverage there. And now the left leg is forward. Have a little space between you and the wall so you don't feel claustrophobic. And take a long stance so that you feel a stretch back here in this calf. If your back heel has to come up, what are you going to do? It's okay. You can stuff a blanket under there, or if you have a little wedge or, I don't know, a book or something, that's fine. But whatever you do, get a stretch in that back calf. Okay, both legs are straight. You take this arm up. Nice inhalation. Exhale. And I'm turning. Press down into the hand. Push your left hand into the wall. And do not let your face come to the wall. That's going to be kind of tempting to want to do that. Breathe. And then you inhale and come up. Okay, now this next way is a little more challenging. And I'm going to end up with my back reaching toward the wall. Okay, so how you want to start, takes a little doing. How you want to start is by having your left hip on the wall and your right leg is forward. Okay, left hip on the wall, right leg is forward. Now it's much harder to keep the heel down here for some reason. I haven't quite figured out why, but it's harder. All right, so then you gotta get this arm out of the way. This arm is coming forward. This one is going to be the one that's up in the air. And now I'm using my back against the wall. Oh, I have a shelf. That's nice. I use my back against the wall. Okay. So what I'm attempting to do is to get this shoulder up against the wall. That may or may not happen. Okay, and you can see if you're looking at my left heel is a little bit off the floor. If I want it back, then my hips shift a little bit. So each version shows you a little something about yourself. Right? Inhale, come up. Now we'll turn around. The right hip is going on the wall, and the left leg is forward. Do your best. You get this arm out of the way, and this arm is going to be the one that's up. Slide on the wall. Go here. I'm on the inside here. That's a little bit too much for using the wall, taking the block to the outside. So just keep your block on the inside, or if you can hold your ankle, maybe you can get the back to the wall. Take this shoulder up or as close to the wall as you can get it and reach down into your right heel. Keep reaching forward or in that direction with the crown of your head and your chest. Reach the opposite direction with your hips. And then come on up. Okay. Now that you're nice and warm, we are going to take dog pose. If you have a chair, this may be tricky, right? But I'm going to show you anyway, because some of you guys do have these chairs. If you have a chair like this or similar to this, you'll have your blocks in front of the chair. You'll have your blanket so that the blanket comes about to the hip creases or so. If this doesn't work, don't worry about it. Just do regular dog pose, okay? But for those of you that have these, it's a nice way to practice. I have my little toe mounds touching the chair legs. The heels are turned out, and I press down, and I come forward, and I pause. I lift up the legs, the kneecaps, and I keep coming forward. Take my glasses off. Okay. And I reach the blocks forward. Just so happens that my forehead touches the chair. Kind of convenient, but everybody's going to be a little bit different here. And breathe. The chair pushes the legs back a bit and gives you more extension through your sides. So it's kind of teaching the sense of direction of the pose. Hips go up and back, and the chest reaches forward. And then you can inhale, walk your blocks back, come back little by little, and then make your way up. Okay. Next, we do not need blocks. All right. Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. You can leave your blanket there. Oh, my legs are not that long. I'm up against the wall. They might not even be that long. We'll see. My buttocks is up against the wall. Heels are a little bit away, and you can hang on to your wall with your hands for balance, or if you have another piece of furniture next to you, you need a little more balance, that's fine. All right, so the first thing I do, hopefully you can see from this angle, is I take my foot up. It's going to be your right foot onto the chair. And I go back now so that my shoulder blades are on the wall. I press into my standing leg foot and I have my hands on my hips. So I'm feeling if there's an imbalance there, if the hips want to go out to the side, or if I'm sinking and going over this way, anything can happen really. All right, so I'm in Tadasana, and you're pressing down with both legs, both feet, and now you can take the arms up. Okay, so just as you did before, now have your imaginary belt around your wrists and externally rotate your arms. In other words, draw the outer arms forward. I'm very Iyengar-Lee right now. Bring your upper arms forward and reach up through your fingertips. Okay, then hang onto your wall again. And if you need to stay here, repeat. Otherwise, you take this leg up, short legs. You take this leg up, and the blanket gives nice padding there so the bar isn't digging into my ankle or my Achilles. Okay, and again, you're feeling your hips and you're breathing. Another option here, if you do want to have the legs straight and you can't quite reach up here, is you could push the seat out a little further and just have your foot resting on the chair, but with the legs straight. Okay, arms up. And breathe. I'm actively pushing into my standing foot so that I'm getting taller. I'm lifting up through the sides of my waist and up through the chest. And then come down. Another thing is both buttocks should be at the wall. Okay, we'll switch legs. So now bring your left foot up onto the chair, both buttocks on the wall. Take the arms up. And then bring your left leg up here. If the hamstrings are tight, it wants to pull this up leg tush off the wall. So you have to kind of go back with that. And I'm noticing my foot is kind of crossing over a little bit too much, so I'm going to even that out. And push into your standing foot, reach out into the ball mound of the leg that's up. Bring the arms up. Externally rotate your arms. And manage the energy in the body. Right? Manage the energy. So sometimes we have so much shooting up through the fingers that we lose energy where we really need it. And pushing down into the foot and lifting up through the pelvic floor. Right? Pressing the shoulder blades into your back. So the whole body needs to be involved. Release and come down. Okay, now I'm going off to the side. Here. So Utthita Parshvahasta Padangusthasana. So you can start out here with the leg bent. And you even out the hips as much as you can. And then, here. Okay. So I'm not going so far that this hip now comes off of the wall. This buttock comes off of the wall. Right. Some of you may have a little more external rotation. You can take the chair back a little bit more, open up the groin a little bit more, And you can do that in stages, right? So maybe I can start here, and then like I want to test it out a little bit. Let's see what happens if I go over there, right? So now when I take the leg back further toward the wall, I feel more in the groin. You can use your hand here. You can use both hands to help you. Okay, so a little bit more happening in the inner groin, so anywhere you need to be. The idea is not to bring your leg all the way to the wall, just in case you were wondering. And then if you can, you bring your arms up. And I'm realizing, I'll look at the video when I'm done, but I'm realizing I was just sinking a little bit. Maybe you noticed that. Sinking on this hip starts to go out. That's me being lazy, right? So here, you suck that outer hip in, not so much that that starts to happen, okay? So you want the hips to be as level as you can get them and both working evenly, which is the most important thing. And then you can come down and we'll go over here. Okay, so externally rotate the legs like a little mini tree pose to start with. And here. Okay, if you think of both hips sort of moving in toward each other, that it helps me. So it's not excessive. Sometimes we get old instructions stuck in our head, right? So maybe an old instruction was not to let this hip sag out to the side, but you've heard that for the last 15 years, so now, you know, you're one of these people that's lifting up way too much, or the opposite. So work evenly at moving the hips toward each other, which will in turn lift up internally, and you should get a little bit taller feeling. I'm going to go a little further. And if you have something that is higher than this, right, and you want to step up your game a little bit, you can go higher if you have a stool or something. Okay, both legs working evenly. And take your arms up. And then release. Okay, you can use this hand to help your leg down. Okay, get rid of that. And just even your sides out in dog pose. Breathe. And then walk forward. And you can inhale and come up. Okay. This can go bye-bye. Just off to the side a little bit. And we're still using our wall. If you would like to sit up on a blanket for this, or your blocks and a blanket, you can do that. My back, sacrum, totally against the wall right now. Okay, so now I'm down in a supported Dandasana. The legs are straight, and I bring the arms forward and up. Again, same thing here with this movement of the arms, which is just like dog pose. Just like downward dog. And then you'll bring your arms down. And we're going to take Upavishta Konasana here. So you take the legs wide. Don't go too wide. You give yourself a cramp. Okay, take your legs wide, and you're sitting up tall. And you can tell your thighs to relax a little. Don't tell them to relax so much that the legs are doing absolutely nothing, but Tell them not to grip so much up here. And reach out into the ball mounds of the feet. And what's probably the most important thing is that the kneecaps are facing upward. If your kneecaps are facing upward toward the ceiling, your hips are probably in a good place. If we go by the feet, we sometimes end up in a funny place because the shin bones can be turned out a little bit sometimes, right? Or turned in sometimes too. So can you see my my foot over? I hope you can see it. This kneecap is facing the ceiling, but it looks like my foot is facing the wall over here. All right? So if I would go by the feet and say, oh, point your toes up toward the ceiling, I would get this. And then this would be really not what I want to be doing in the hips, okay? Because it's bringing my leg into more of an internal rotation here. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if I want to press down, I want to press down evenly into the back of the thighs. I reach the knees down, back of the knees, and you take your arms up again. And you release. And now I want to show you, you might feel like a little stuck in here. I have to come away from the wall a little bit. I'll show you how to use the wall the other way. So, only the inner edges of my feet are touching the wall. The outer edges of my feet are reaching back toward my hips, which is what they would be doing normally in Upavishta Konasana. And then you'll take your arms up. Notice I'm sitting right up on top of my sitting bones. I'm not back here. If you find yourself back here, don't do this one. Do it with your back up against the wall instead. So I'm on top of my sitting bones, and then I come forward. Okay, my head just so happens to make it up against the wall, and I'm reaching up. Pressing down with the sitting bones, reaching up into my fingers. Then if I feel I can go a little bit more, I come in a little closer. Go easy with this, please. And go up. If you have ropes to hold on to, it's really cool because then you can climb upward a bit. Use your breath. And then release. And then to come out, you can just roll back, get really soft. In the legs, you come into Baddha Konasana now. Come away from the wall. Baddha Konasana. Externally rotate your legs. You can certainly keep sitting up on a blanket if you want. And so Baddha Konasana to soften from that lots of stretching that you were just doing. And you come forward a little bit. And then come into child's pose. Okay, knees are slightly apart. Reach forward with your arms. If you need to put your blanket under your head or something, you can do that. And just soften the back of the legs. A few breaths here. And then make your way up. And what you're going to do is to have your legs crossed. I'm going to pull this top mat out a little bit. It's So I have a little bit more room. Done with my wall. Okay, what might be nice is if you go back and get your blanket. And just have your blanket like that. It's not much, but it's a little bit more support. And you bring your tush really close to the blanket, on the blanket almost. And you can be with bent legs here. Let the lower back settle down. When you go to a lying down position, from standing up and doing whatever you're doing, whether it's asana or just regular life stuff, it's good to just start with the legs bent and let the lower back get used to this position. Okay, even just for a second or two. Releasing the sides of your waist. And then you're going to cross legs. Okay, so my shins are crossed. If you need more support for this, please take it. Please get extra blankets or whatever underneath. After doing standing poses, even though we were using the wall, it's good to rest in cross legs or even in Supta Virasana sometimes, which is much more challenging, so that's why we're doing this. Just to release from all of that work that you did in the legs. Okay, so you're now allowing the legs to bend and be soft. Get your hips into a comfortable position, whatever that means for you. And then switch the cross in your legs. So for some of you, for many of you, being here is as far as you're going to go. The handful of you that are comfortable lying down in Padmasana, please do that. Okay, so Padmasana, if your knees and ankles and hips are happy about doing Padmasana, there's no reason not to here. Excuse me. Relax. If you're in Padmasana, make sure you get to do both sides. Relax your belly. Relax your shoulders, everybody. Relax your shoulders and arms. And of course, relax your neck. Go back to first side again. Releasing your jaw and then your tongue. And let there be a softness between your eyebrows. So imagine a spreading action between the eyebrows and on the forehead. And just allow your brain to relax. And then last time, switch the cross in your legs. Give a good, meaningful exhale. And then you can bring the feet to the floor, bottoms of the feet to the floor. Take a little pause. And roll over onto your side. Curl up a little bit. take a little pause here. And then use both hands to push yourself up. And just sit comfortably for a moment. Close your eyes. And then